Yeah. No, I'm behaving myself. No, I'm not playing in abandoned buildings. What? Again? Now, I suppose you had those people follow me again. Fine. Hey, this is Jimmy Pharaoh from Monte and the Pharaoh, and I want to thank all our subscribers. We have now passed 14,000 on our YouTube channel. But I want to ask our subscribers to take the next step for us and become a full-fledged member of Monte and the Pharaoh. Yeah, that's right, folks. There's 3 different levels to choose from. There's free shirts. There's free autographs. Just check it out and become a member of Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monte and the Pharaoh. Later.
All right, welcome back to Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monte the Pharaoh, only seen here out of Indie Music TV, straight out of Ronkonkoma, Long Island. At the board, the return of Jared. How are you, buddy?
Hello, hello. I'm good.
Your fill-in last Friday with EC3 did a good job.
Good.
He did his best Jared imitation. I think Abe did a pretty good job.
He
right?
found Jared's scrolls that were hidden in the back of the closet.
Secret to great
Yeah, he found the
producing.
Jared scrolls and he read a few and he was like, "Oh, okay."
Thoughts
Wish
on
I could have been
EC3?
there.
What was that, Jared?
Said, wish I could have been there. Glad we got
That's
2 this
okay.
week, though.
Don't
Yeah.
worry, you'll be at the ones coming up.
Oh,
Tomorrow
yeah.
you're with Tommy Rich, Ronnie Garvin. We've got Marty Jannetty in house. Don't forget, everybody, that if you signed up, you'll, for the second half of the show, get to interview Marty Jannetty with the Pharaoh, as I'll give up the dais to Marty.
Gonna trust me and Marty?
Right, Jared, we're ready
Oh
to
my
hit that
God.
one. We'll be having fans Skype in and
Yeah.
ask questions, yeah?
Yeah, we're ready.
Yeah.
Of course he's ready, Spidey.
EC3, what are your thoughts?
Well, here's my thoughts, okay? You know what a big fan I am of EC3 and how psyched I was that EC3 came in. I must address one particular jackass, though, that wrote in and said, well, when EC3 came here, he saw what kind of idiots he was dealing with and said, F it. Well, here's the deal. EC3,
Wait a minute, hold on. Someone wrote that?
Someone wrote that, yeah. And I really laughed at it. Of course, he got the response he wanted from me. I wanted to strangle him and twist him into bookends. But, that passed within 10 seconds because I am an older guy now. But what really killed me here's the facts there, jerk off. EC3 came in the same way he walked out. He came in the way he was. He stayed the same way the whole interview, and he left the same way. EC3 had basically one speed, and that's fine. That was EC3. I enjoyed him. I enjoyed the interview. How'd you feel?
Dude, I don't know. I don't know how I missed half these comments. I think
You
I'm
usually let
responding.
me know about these comments,
Yeah, I
too,
don't
which is
remember
funny.
that one. How did I feel? I thought EC3.
I like the Vince thing.
We weren't
That
looking
was
for
interesting.
dirt.
No,
but I would
if it
like
happens,
him
it
to get a
happens.
little more in depth about
Right.
the people he was speaking
He was
about,
pretty
like
basic.
the Dixie Carter thing.
Sure.
Tell us what type of person she
Right.
was. Tell me a good story that you might have had with. It doesn't have
Right.
to be a dirt story.
Of course not.
But get a little deeper.
Right.
But
right.
I thought he gave a good interview.
I enjoyed it.
I
thought
thought
it was cool.
I thought he did fine.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting. We've had so many different types of people on the show, from musicians to brothers of somebody to wives of somebody
Right.
to daughters
to
of
cops
somebody.
who killed kayfabe.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, to investigative reporters.
So when you talk about comments on social media,
Yeah.
it's weird, guys. When I'm, when you, the day goes by, all of a sudden you'll see certain videos that are a year old, all of a sudden getting like
a boom.
lots of love.
Right, there's
Bam,
a
bam.
boom.
Where you're
Right,
like, whoa,
yeah.
what's this about?
It's hard to figure out.
But out of nowhere,
Speaking of private investigators.
speaking of private investigators,
okay.
people were trashing
Oh, I remember.
James Terry.
James Terry.
From our interview.
Right.
And James Terry, how long do you think that long ago was that interview?
I would say
Close to a year
Close
and a
to
half?
a year. Yeah, well, it's around a year or something like that.
So
Maybe
James,
it's longer.
it's funny when I book guests because I
gave
do
a good
I do
interview, by the
most
way.
of the bookings.
Yeah, sure.
A lot, it's changed in the earlier part of my relationship with Pharaoh. When I used to book people, Pharaoh used to have, it's Monday, not a great day for Pharaoh. Didn't like my booking. Tuesday, still angry about it.
What?
Wednesday,
What?
and then he would kind of like mellow out.
How many? Which ones?
I'm talking about early.
You booked New Jack. What's wrong with you? I don't recall that.
But
Val Venus, how dare
James
you?
Terry, perfect example. Like, what are we talking to James Terry?
I don't think I was even bitching a year ago, bro. You'd have to go far
Yeah,
back.
probably farther than
Let's
that.
be fair.
I mean, I was just
probably
bringing up a type
probably
of
the first year and a half with the albatross situation.
right. Yeah,
You know what
there
I'm
you
saying?
go.
Yeah. Well, other than that,
Again, bitching is a hard word. It's just that Pharaoh
Yeah.
didn't agree with some of my choices on who
Well,
to bring on the
sometimes
show.
I felt that some of them overestimated their value.
Right.
Let's talk business.
That's fair.
And we can leave that just like that. That's
But
fine.
but I would say
That's on them, by the
one-
way.
again,
those
not
chiselers.
not patting the show on the back. But
Yeah.
I think we haven't had a bad guest.
No.
I mean, we actually had an
I enjoy
indie,
everybody.
We had an indie wrestler.
Wait a minute. What about the one time the guy wouldn't leave 1995?
That was
rough.
Who was that?
Damian Kane.
Damian Kane.
He wouldn't leave 1995.
Yeah, but you know what?
It was actually funny.
It was
So
funny.
I guess you're right. Even the ones that might be a perceived train wreck coming from us, other people are enjoying the shit
Right,
out of
exactly.
it. So whatever. What are you going to do?
But
no, I've enjoyed everybody we've
People
had.
are writing, oh my
Everybody.
God, James Terry's a piece of crap. So
Yeah, what was up
I'm like,
with that?
why are they attacking
Yeah,
James Terry? So
why?
I went on, the news. I don't know if no one's aware of this, but it's like, so James Terry,
Yeah.
Dylan Rounds' family. Now, Dylan Rounds is a young man, I think, that
sure. I think
out of
the folks are
Idaho that
taking a look right
disappeared.
now. Yeah.
And they hired
They hired James
James Terry to find them.
That's because he must be pretty damn good at what he does.
So I'll read two articles and
You
tell
know?
me what the guy. Attorney from Dylan Round's parents sends private investigator cease and desist letter. Idaho Falls, the family of missing man, the eastern Idaho is demanding private investigators stop his involvement in the search of their son. Dylan Rounds, 19, vanished over a month ago while farming in a rural town near Utah, Nevada. He last spoke with his grandmother on May 28th. Since then, nobody's heard from him, and other than a pair of round boots on the property, there's no sign of him.
Okay.
James Terry, with Gulf Coast Investigating in Florida, has been investigating the case, but on Thursday, Idaho Falls-based attorney Ronald Swafford sent Terry a cease and desist letter on behalf of Rounds. My office has been retained by the Rounds and Cooley family to send this letter to you to demand that you immediately cease and desist your non-authorized involvement. Thoughts?
Non-authorized.
Non-authorized.
What's your thoughts? What's that all about?
I
I don't think you can just investigate something without getting some sort of.
Why?
Can you?
Why
I don't know
can't
what
you?
the rules are. I'm
Let me
asking.
ask you something.
What's the rules
if
for a
someone
private
disappeared, why can't you go look for him?
Well, don't you want to get paid for your work?
What if it was your
Who's
sister?
he doing this for?
What if it was your sister?
Oh, that's different, is it? Is it the brother? Is
no.
Dylan Rounds the brother?
No.
I'm just trying to understand.
My point
this.
is, how can you stop someone for looking for someone?
Well, apparently there might be something no good going on.
That's very interesting.
You know, that's what it sounds like it could be. Why would you not want to find out what happened to your loved one? Shh, go away.
What did you?
That's weird.
What did you think
That's fishy.
of the private investigator that we had on when we interviewed him?
I
What
told
were
you-
your thoughts?
My thoughts were he gave a really good interview, and I told you he sounded like an ESPN sports announcer. I thought he had a very professional voice. What do I know? I don't know what to think otherwise, you know.
Jay Will says farming is the most important job, the most important hardworking job in the USA. Quick little roll call, Pharaoh, before we get the show going. As people
Hit
come
it.
in, Loose in the house.
Loose.
Stinger. Jason. Matthew. A mess in the house.
A mess?
JB Blues in
Okay.
the house. ESO Creative in the house. Fat Boston Wells bank account in
This
the
He's
house.
still out there. That's awesome.
RJ Hudson in the house. I bypassed one name.
Did you?
Yeah, Mitch Seinfeld in the house. I bypassed another name.
You bypassed another name?
RJ, I think
What
I
the-
said your name. You're in the house. Maria Davis in the
Maria!
house. Charlie Wilson in the house. Let me see.
Who else you
else? First Lady of Wrestling, I said.
First
She's
lady
in the
of
house.
wrestling, yes. She
And
made-
B40's here. Hey, yo, B40. How
Hey,
are you,
yo.
buddy?
What up?
Guys, we're so glad you're joining us on this Thursday. And then, hopefully you'll join us tomorrow when we have Tommy Rich along with Hands of Stone, a rugged Ronnie Garvin. Back-to-back shows.
Nice. Nice.
More information on news there. Pharaoh, President Biden has a runny nose, cough after testing positive for COVID. The President, Joseph Biden, tested positive for COVID the first time Thursday morning, and White House said Biden, 79, has very mild symptoms.
Do you think he's going to make it through his presidency? Because I don't think so. I sense
Share your
I
thoughts.
sense foul play.
Really?
I just don't trust the whole damn setup. I don't know, man. I don't think that he's going to make it through his whole presidency. I just don't feel it. Weren't they saying last week they were holding him up as he walked down the carpet to meet somebody of importance?
I don't know.
It sounds like he's not even there anymore.
I
have a bigger question. How come his son's not in jail? The guy's posting, check out my crack. There was a shitload of crack, and he's weighing it, and he's like, hey. Why is he not under arrest? If the Pharaoh says, hey, check out this crack, I got a feeling that you're by yourself for quite a while after that.
I was talking.
It's Monte!
I was
and
talking
the
to the
chair.
owners, Chris Patty of
What
Indie
the-
Music Studio, and I
Yeah.
was like, do you think the Democratic Party doesn't want Biden to make it through his term? Because usually
Possible.
you get reelected automatically in so many ways.
Depends.
There has not been one previous president that
Oh, you mean
wasn't,
to run?
To run the second term.
That I get. I think the only time that there was a major issue, you got to go back to the 1800s, and there was a president, I want to say named Taylor, that they fucking hated. So I think there was some sort of uprooting of some kind. Something happened. It was almost 200 years ago, though. So you're right. Not in our lifetime. I haven't seen anything like that.
He is our president, so get well,
Yeah.
President Biden.
Yeah, please.
We're hoping the best.
Try to remember your name.
Man accused of killing friend claims it was to stop him from summoning
Yeah.
Sasquatch. An Oklahoma noodler was arrested and reportedly
Noodler?
confessed to
What's
killing
a
his fishing
noodler?
partner, claiming he did so to stop Bigfoot from coming to eat him. Larry Doyle Sanders, 53, has been noodling a way of catching catfish via hand.
That's what it
His
is.
friend Jimmy Knighton, also 53, was from South Canadian River. Larry claimed that while on the river, he discovered Jimmy intended to feed him to Sasquatch.
Stupid.
Thoughts?
Larry indicated Jimmy attempted to get away from him so that the Sasquatch could eat Larry. Dude,
Yes.
where do you get this crap? This is ridiculous.
Listen, wouldn't you
I'm
kill
rooting-
somebody? Wouldn't you kill somebody if they wanted to feed you to Sasquatch?
But where's Sasquatch? No one's seen Sasquatch.
Obviously, there was
There's footage from
Sasquatch was in there.
1967 if Jared threw up the picture.
Clearly,
But
clearly,
this is Sasquatch.
there was a Sasquatch. And
Clearly.
he was going to get eaten.
The photographic
You heard what
evidence?
the guy said.
Can I get a picture of Sasquatch? Can somebody please photograph this thing? Somebody. This is real. I'm rooting for Sasquatch. Did he eat them both?
That'd be great.
Wouldn't it? By the way, what's wrong with you and me at the beach a couple of weeks back rooting for a shark attack? We are sick.
A lot of shark attacks on Long Island.
I mean-
every day there's a shark attack.
Yeah, but we didn't see one.
Well, we
That's a
were a little
bummer.
early. Got to go back.
It's funny.
See, you said you were never going back. Now you got to go back because people are actually getting bitten by sharks. How cool would that be?
Right.
To see someone
I
bitten by a
mean,
shark.
do you remember? Let's paint the picture for the fans. We're sitting
Yeah.
there. We got our cooler. We got I'm getting burned to smithereens. But somehow it's all peaceful. And you're like, wouldn't it be great if out of nowhere? And I'm like, you didn't even have to continue your. I'm like, you mean rum rum, rum 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 rum. That would it would be great. It would just cut the dullness of the day.
Like I was
Sick.
just
We're
envisioning like
sick.
someone floating
This
on
is
their
not
thing,
normal,
and then
folks.
this giant mouth just goes. I'd be like, "Holy! Did you just see that?"
Yeah, and we were picking which people.
Yeah.
Like that guy right there. Get him.
Two hot women.
How
on that
dare
beach.
you be that
day,
hairy and wear a
how hot
thong?
were those
What are you
women?
doing, dude?
How hot were those women
I
on that
can't.
beach? It
Dude,
was killer.
I got so burned I lost my eyesight. It was rough.
They were.
It was rough.
They were looking good.
It
boy.
was rough. Yeah, and I was looking old.
And if you, we are old.
Oh, damn
If you
it.
didn't know that,
Oh,
that
wow.
is the star of the show to my right, Mr. Jimmy Pharaoh.
What?
We'd like to thank the band that sings the theme song for the Monte and the Pharaoh Show. Our own Jimmy Pharaoh, along with his partner Bart Griggs, make up the band. Wisteria Hall. Wisteria Hall sings such great songs as In My Dreams, This Life, Not Far Behind, Here Comes the Rain. You can find their music on the Wisteria Hall YouTube page. Hit like and subscribe. Spotify, Apple Music, Reverb Nation, or where all music is found. Let me ask you.
Yeah.
As great as Wisteria Hall is,
Oh boy. Okay.
the music,
Okay,
and
thank you.
as great as the name is,
Yeah.
is there any point you wish you would have named the band differently?
No, but I'll bore you with the quick story.
Go ahead.
Before the Wisteria Hall name came up, we were going to name it King Peddler, which I thought had a great double meaning. You know, being a king or being a peddler. But it was
Pretty cool name,
actually,
by the way.
I thought it was very cool. It was named after a guy that I had been speaking to at the time who worked at Kings Park Psychiatric Center his whole life. And at this point, he was a very old man. And I said to him, just out of respect, I was like, we want to name the band King Peddler. Would you mind? And he said, no, I wouldn't. The next day, he calls me all paranoid. He was like, I don't know if I want you to name it. And I was like, this
Are you
guy.
serious?
Yeah, I was like all worried. And then I started looking into some stuff, and let's not get into it, but I could see why he didn't want anybody to know who he was. I was just like,
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. You're just gonna.
I'm just
You're
gonna
leave me hanging on a tree with that
let's
one.
just say he was a school bus driver.
And he was
he
peddling
might have.
Kids Peddler?
I don't know.
Was his name Kids Peddler?
What are you going for broke here? King pedophile? What are you getting at?
Well, if you tell him he's a school bus,
I just
get some
saw
drugs.
some things that I thought was a little strange. So I was just like, no wonder this guy doesn't want to know anything about nothing. So I was like, fuck it, we'll name it a building.
Dude, I got to be honest with you. I love Wisteria Hall, but
You're going to start with King Peddler now?
King Peddler would have been a great name, dude.
Don't do that live on the air. Wisteria Hall's a better name. Shut up.
All right, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but I like.
They're both good names.
But I understand.
But I love Wisteria Hall.
I understand.
It fits. Where's my shirt?
Maybe would you have named it Kids Peddler?
No, that's stupid. I like the double meaning. His name is cool by accident. He doesn't even realize it. I mean, a king or a peddler. I was going to change this.
Wait a minute, you're trying to tell me his real name was King's Peddler?
His name was King Peddler.
Bullshit.
That was his name.
No way.
That's his goddamn name.
Yeah,
Since 1932.
Yeah, it is this.
Well,
it is
whatever it
fucking hallucinogenic acid trips from 19. Where'd you find this
then
guy?
he came up with his own name back in the 60s?
Yeah, sure, why not?
Interesting. That's
I mean, where'd you find this guy? You
He's
said
on YouTube, bro. There's a lot of Kings Park people on YouTube.
Oh.
People who work there. Oh. Yeah. You see, believe it or not, I know scenes interest you. There's a whole goofy scene for KPPC out there on YouTube. There's some videos that have had gabillion, million, trillion
Worcester sauce says King
Worcester
Kid,
sauce,
King Kid Peddler and Diddler.
Here we go.
King Diddler.
You've ruined this guy. You happy?
I'll get you.
I'll get
Luis
you.
Rodriguez says, ask the Pharaoh, where's the Bartman slogan?
The Bart.
See? Fans are looking for the Bartman.
Oh, they wanted me to hit the high thing.
You're letting people down.
You want me to do it now?
I think it's a little late, but, Luis wants it. Give it to him.
Bartman! There you go, bro. Thank you.
Raj says, look up the video of the one new Jackass member named Poopies.
Poopies?
They filmed...
Poopies.
By the way, my glasses again. Filmed
filled
him
with
being bitten by a shark during a Shark Week either last year. You got to look that up. All right, I am definitely going to look that up.
A guy purposely being bitten by a shark? It's like a stunt on Jackass?
I didn't know
That's
there was a guy named
psychotic.
Poopies on
Poopies.
Jackass.
Very interesting. Probably pooped himself after he got bit.
That's it?
Poopies.
Poopies.
Yeah.
Poopies
That's
galore.
interesting.
If you didn't know, you are watching Long Island's number
You
one
get
pro
this
wrestling
shit.
broadcast, Monte the Pharaoh. Catch us on the Monte the Pharaoh YouTube page, Monte the Pharaoh Facebook Live page. Hear us on the iHeartRadio, Spotify, Anchor, Twitch TV, Monte the Pharaoh. If you're lucky enough to live in New York, hear us on Channel 115
Lucky.
every Tuesday at 9:30 and 11:30 p.m. and Channel 20 Tuesday at 1 a.m. By the way, Pharaoh,
Yeah.
August 10th, I have to look. Our contract's up.
Archive.
And it's,
Again?
it may not
This
be,
happens
It
fast.
may not be renewed. I'm
Why
playing
not?
hardball.
You're doing it again. You did that last year.
I know, but this
It worked
time,
last year.
I don't know if it's going to work this year.
Why are you then to play softball?
I want to play
I
hardball.
don't want to play softball. Wait a minute. At least play softball fast pitch. Just
I
don't do
can't
the-
play fast pitch.
He likes the arc.
We'll be right back with something we're calling Monte and the Pharaoh present Be Wise Enough Not to Be Reckless, but Brave Enough to Take Risks.
So you're in a brave moment. Brave. That's right, folks. Canine Corral for all your dog daycare and overnight care. Call 631-549-1544. That's 631-549-1544.
Jimmy, I gotta take a dump.
What?
No, I mean I need a dumpster.
Well, for all those needs, you need to call Big V Dumpster Rental, Long Island, New York, 631-900-DUMP. Elm Logistics, for all your logistic needs, call 631-299-3595. That's 631-299-3595. Elm Global Logistics, pride, performance, and partnerships.
All right, welcome back to Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast. Monte and Pharaoh, seen here out of Indie Music TV, straight out of Ronkonkoma, Long Island. Big Boss Fetty,
Big Boss
back
Fetty.
as a member.
What up?
Thank you, sir, for
What
coming
is
aboard.
Thank you.
So, look, again, we'll go into, I listen to a lot of podcasts because I start work early in the morning. And I caught a smaller type of podcast, but very interesting. But, we were speaking about AEW. I've been interested in AEW the last couple of weeks just because of the matchups, right?
All right.
Wardlow against Orange Cassidy, and then obviously last night, Jericho against Eddie Tub of Shit, right? By the way,
Croco Butter.
both of those matches were awful, in my opinion. Okay? In my opinion.
Yeah, right.
And I'm not trying to be anti-AEW. They were bad from, the cage deal with the key and Eddie Kingston being wrapped up for war but decides, okay, I don't want barbed wire. That's why I'm wrapping myself up because I'm protecting myself against the nasty barbed
Swinging
wire.
and missing on a Judas effect.
Yeah.
Completely.
Completely.
Like by a foot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just
rough.
whatever. And then the guys getting in between the shark cage because they couldn't unlock it.
Right.
Again, good save, I
Right.
guess, to fix the scenario. But
Why
again,
have to be saved in the first place?
first of all, why not just have a gimmick
so
lock?
bad. Yeah.
But anyway.
So bad. So bad.
But on this podcast,
Yeah.
and I found it interesting, if anybody remembers the name Bad News Brown, I'm sure everybody does.
From the day.
They had Bad News Brown's
Yeah.
daughter on.
Okay.
Alan Coge, who was Bad News Brown, passed away, I guess, in the early 90s. I gotta
it's been a
look.
little-
It's been a
while.
bit, right?
Yep.
But anyway, the gist of the conversation was basically how Bad News Brown was taken advantage, lied to by Vince McMahon,
Here we go.
was the originator, the first Stone Cold Steve
In
Austin.
what way? Here we go.
Well, this is what I want you to weigh in.
Yeah, in what way was he the first Stone Cold?
Let me go through some of the things that he said.
Give me a break.
He didn't take shit.
So?
He spoke.
So have plenty of other wrestlers behind the scenes.
Right.
What the fuck is that?
So
Not
the
first
daughter
Stone
was
Cold.
telling all these stories. I'm thinking to myself, man,
So
I don't
stupid.
think I shared my personal stuff with my daughter at 7 years old. I have a very close relationship with my daughter.
Right.
She knows everything about me now. Back
And
then,
how much are you processing as a 7-year-old?
Exactly,
What are
and,
we
and I'm
talking
guessing
here?
she's 7. So I put on the
Hey.
Bad News Brown video, which you could catch on YouTube.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
she was basically regurgitating everything he was saying on this one
Right.
YouTube thing, and
She was repeating
I'm sure a
everything
lot of
he'd
people
said.
have seen that.
Okay.
But I'm sorry, he died in 2007.
Right.
He
Died
was
young.
having chest
One way or the other.
pains, and he passed away after having chest pains at age 63.
Yep. Yep.
Thoughts on Bad News Brown?
Well, I don't agree with anything I just heard. I mean, Bad News Brown was a serviceable villain, had a brief moment, and that's about it. He wasn't great in the ring. Let's not get carried away. Had a good aura, He was a good tough guy. He was a convincing tough guy. But the first Stone Cold, my God, I'd have to go universes before I even think about the two in the same fucking sentence. Where's that coming from? It's not the first Stone Cold. It's a ridiculous statement. Not at all. He wasn't the first Stone Cold. I don't know. Didn't he claim that he was promised he was going to be champion or some shit too? I mean, was there some...
That's what they said.
Bullshit. Get outta
Raji
here.
says because he was bald and he wore a jacket that said 316
Oh, okay.
with the skull on
So
it
that must
when he
mean-
walked down the ring and had
right.
2 beers and would smack them together. Ha ha.
Yeah. Okay. What?
Who did that?
It's a joke. What?
Bad News Brown didn't do that, right?
No, Stone Cold Steve Austin did that. What?
Well, anyway. So supposedly Vince was told him he was going to be champion, and then clearly because he was African American, it wasn't the time. Supposedly was a story, and that he basically he said that Vince, he was a real shooter, so Vince was worried that they could never get the belt away from him.
Oh, okay.
Okay, again, I'm sure Vince promises people, or like any other job, promises people great opportunities to work for his place.
Right.
And I imagine Bad News Allen at the time seemed like he could be a really good draw.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Angry black guy.
Yeah.
Kick your ass.
He had a good aura.
Good look.
Right.
But to me, I don't remember him resignating at all. In fact, in the interview, he talks about the time where he wrestled Bret Hart. It was a tournament and they had this like 10-foot trophy, and then Bret Hart won it.
That
and
I do
to start
remember.
The feud, he broke it. Yeah, I only remembered it because he brought it up. I was like, oh yeah,
Right. Right.
I don't.
The staying power of his so-called legacy that they're making so much more out to be is not there. It's not there.
Charlie Wilson says he was a heel that didn't get along with other heels.
Okay, I could see that. Apparently, he didn't get along with too many people at all. But to have these expectations or these delusions that he should have been this or he should have been that. I've heard this sob story before. It's 1988. Who are you taking the belt from? Bad News Brown. You think you're going to sell more than Macho Man? You think you're going to sell more tickets than Hogan? You think you're going to sell more tickets than Demolition? Well, where do you think you fall in this fucking land of fantasy, my friend?
It was funny when he was talking
where
about
do you think
these guys
fitting
as
in
workers, like Hogan is a worker, and
Right.
this guy is a worker, and that guy is a worker.
Yeah.
I don't think Bad News Brown was a good worker.
No,
if I remember
very
right,
limited.
he was very limited. I don't even think that guy did suplexes.
No, come on. He was very, 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 very limited. Period. He was. And again, the thing going for him was his aura. He had a good aura. Felt like a badass, looked like a badass.
Part of the complaint is that Vince didn't allow him to use Bad News Allen. I guess Allen was
Bad
his
News
last
Brown
name.
was way...
Well, the point of the matter is Vince wants to
Stop.
make money. He's not going to let you use the wrestling name that you've been traveling with.
Right.
It doesn't do him any justice.
Right.
But then I think the host of those shows were talking about Vince is always screwing up people's names, and they name the Red Rooster. Obviously, and I'm thinking to myself first of all, I like the Red Rooster, but put that aside, 99% of self, but including you, think it's the worst gimmick ever.
I can't.
But remember how he turned Mr. Perfect.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep. Mr. Perfect's a pretty damn good idea. There was a lot of them.
Hercules.
There was a lot of them. Look, Mark Calloway walked in the door and Vince went, Undertaker. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
Stop it. The guy knows what he's doing 90%, 80 to 90% of the time. It's that 10%, once again, the loud minority that they got to do this with when it comes to Vince.
Do you think when people have a show,
Yeah.
Jay Will says Tiny Lister seemed to be a nice guy? I don't know why we're into talking about Tiny Lister.
Tiny Lister. He's got a blister, that Tiny Lister. Sorry.
Blue says, I saw Bad News Brown versus Coco Beware. They were always good matches.
Okay, that's
I
cool.
don't remember those matches.
They probably
I'm sure
had
we
decent
did.
chemistry with each other. They probably were friends, for all we know, behind the scenes.
There's
Maybe
a
that
video of
helped
me front row at
translate to
Madison
the
Square.
matches.
There's a
Wouldn't be
video with
surprised.
me front row at Madison Square Garden,
Yeah.
and it's Hercules against Bad News Brown.
Right.
And it was just...
What a clinic that sounds
It
like.
was just wrestling. It
What
was
a clinic.
wrestling.
Hercules
Again,
and Bad... They were chain wrestling, right? Hercules and Bad News.
please, it was
Hercules
just-
has one move, too.
They were just kicking each other. Whatever,
Of
dude.
course
It's
they
all
were.
good.
Yeah.
My point is, do you think as interviewers that when we have someone in front of us, and I'm talking for anyone that does this type of stuff, do you feel it necessary to talk up the person, whether it's them or their sibling or their wife or whoever you're speaking to, and say how great this person is? And with all due respect,
No.
I don't think Bad News Brown was great at all.
Okay.
I thought he was, like you said, as limited could
Right,
be.
right.
Not great mic skills.
Right.
Not a good wrestler.
Right.
Not even a great look. Did he look scary? Fuck yeah.
Yeah, he did. But, I give more props to if he wants to look, he went there. He was saying the first African American champion and stuff. So since he went there, does he really think that he was more worthy or a better draw or a bigger star than Kamala? No. No. So even then, notice that I said, where do you think you exist in this land of fantasy, my friend? You're not above Macho. You're not above Roddy. You're not above Hulkster. Hell, you're not above Demolition if you get a tag partner. You're not above the Hart Foundation. You're not above the Bulldogs. You're not Who are you above? You know? You're not even above one of your fellows. Since you wanted to go there, you're not above Kamala. What makes you think you deserve a chance before Kamala to be the first champion? I would have given it to Kamala before him any day.
By the way, Coco was very...
Just saying. Coco!
Very,
would have given it to him before Bad News Brown.
Bad News Brown was very adamant that he was pro-Dynamite Kid, and even during the Rougeau thing.
Okay.
Like, he was basically, he felt that the Rougeaus, you don't hit someone from behind.
Right.
Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, that's not cool.
Right. I don't know how I felt about that one. I felt like, from everything I heard, Dynamite Kid wasn't a good guy.
No, he was always asking for it. Somebody finally just got sick of it. Right. But that's what it sounds like.
Again,
to be fair.
Again, do we remember Bad News Brown?
Sure.
So that means a lot.
I do.
You say the name, you know who it was.
I don't think he's a Hall of Famer. How about that?
You remember Bad News Allen?
No.
There you go.
It's Bad News Brown, and it sounds better too. And not for any other reason than it sounds better. Period. Bad News Brown sounds better than Bad News Allen. Just to me, on the surface. Vince knows what he's doing usually when he does this sort of thing. Remember when Alexander Rusev? He shortened that to Rusev, didn't he? That worked out just fine for Rusev. Now he's one name again. He's Miro. How come he's not Alexander Miro? There's a reason for that. Oh, there you go. Good job, Vince.
Anyway, with all due respect, rest in peace, Bad News Brown.
For sure. I mean, he's been gone for a long time,
so,
too.
Every Sunday, 8 o'clock, WWE A&E Network, they've got their documentaries on certain wrestlers, and then they go to rivalries.
All right.
This week was Bill Goldberg.
Goldberg.
And the rivalry was Kane Undertaker, which, by the way, because we're going to talk about Goldberg next, but my point is, when I think about great rivalries,
you're right.
Kane Undertaker
does not come to mind.
Does not come to mind for me.
I agree. It's not. It doesn't come to my mind right away either. It might
but
take quite a while.
But do you see that being a huge draw? Like when you maybe it is.
Well, you know, if you go back and you watch those couple of like big time moments that they had with each other, it's very cool. But I don't look at it. Oddly enough, I look at Mankind as more of an all time opponent for Undertaker. You know, I don't think of. It's weird with Undertaker Kane. I agree. I guess that's all I can really add.
I got to be honest with you. Like when I think about the
cool
Undertaker,
rivalry,
and you know. Guys, correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, Foley's probably the closest that it comes, but when I think of, forget it, Undertaker's had great matches, but when I think of rivalries, I don't see a rival for Undertaker.
You might have a point. I mean, Stone Cold was his rival.
A bunch of people were his rival.
Stone Cold was definitely his rival.
There was 21 rivalries, right?
I mean, right. AJ was his rival. Brock has been his rival.
Right.
Right? Maybe that's the greatness of Undertaker. He's got so many different rivals. Perhaps it's that. That's the magic, that adds to the magic of the Undertaker. Though he should have just one guy he could usually, but that's old school almost at this point. Where there's just one guy you think of. Roman Reigns is working on that with Brock, though.
That's a great rivalry.
Yeah, that's a great rivalry. There it is.
So they did a documentary on Goldberg,
who I loved back in the day.
And by the way, those documentaries are so good. I'm going to say it again. They're so good.
That's why you're carrying this at this particular moment. I, of course, didn't see this.
Well, you know the story of Goldberg.
Of course I do.
And, he discusses how he loved football. And by the way, as I'm watching the documentary, I'm thinking to myself, you know what? Goldberg's one of my favorite wrestlers of all time.
Wow, how did he suddenly appear on the list with Morocco and the rest of them? You
start looking at like certain guys,
I enjoyed
and when you see a documentary, you go, man, this guy was pretty important to me at some point.
I loved Goldberg in '98. Oh my God, I had a T-shirt and everything. I was a 30-year-old dude just loving Bill Goldberg. I thought he was fantastic. And to be fair, even though he looked like the Stone Cold with just on the bald head alone and the goat, they couldn't have felt more different. They were both so great. I enjoyed both of them. I never compared
them either.
They were not alike at all.
No, not at all.
They weren't alike at all. They were both very special.
The only thing is they were each one was carrying the show.
Of course.
And that's where the rivalry was, right? One was carrying, each one
and the
end
result was that Goldberg wasn't allowed to continue carrying his own show. He got cattle prodded, and Austin had The Rock and The Undertaker and Triple H to help him. And that's why we got what we got in the end. The winners,
Well,
WWE and company.
part of it goes how much he really didn't love. Like, he didn't love the sport.
No.
He didn't actually like the sport.
Clearly. Clearly
I think he's changed over that, personally, as I'm watching it.
Yeah, he's grown more fond of it, more appreciative.
But the one
I
thing,
think that's fair.
The one thing, and it's kind of what we're talking about the show here, guys, is the big part of the conversation was how reckless Bill was, and obviously Bret Hart
Right.
is on there, and he talks about how how Bill
Kicked him
ruined his career.
in the head.
And he uses a couple of
Right.
examples. One where he puts a figure 4 on Bill over the
Yes.
ring post.
Yes.
And he told Bill, if one thing you can't do is let go of my foot.
Right.
And he did, and Hart fell back and hit his head.
Right.
Then Hart took a pretty stiff
Very
kick,
stiff.
and then
Very
finally took
stiff.
a very stiff
Yeah.
spear.
Right.
So
They fucked him up.
Brett claims, now we had Buddy Lee in here, and Buddy Lee said, fuck you, Brett,
Right.
and you take it from here.
Right.
But basically said, hey, Brett, fuck you, stop whining.
Right.
You're the pro.
Right.
You should have known what to do in that situation. So take
I
it from
kind
there.
of agree with Buddy Lee Parker. Like, sometimes when you have an awkward matchup on paper, and it is awkward, Goldberg and Bret Hart couldn't be more different, you might want to remember who you're in the ring with. It's not just, you know already that Bill can be a little bit reckless or just not as...
By the way, Phil says Goldberg and Owen Hart are the most down-to-earth wrestlers he's ever met.
Cool. Very cool.
Go ahead, keep going.
You got to just know who you're in the ring with. Goldberg already had the reputation of being reckless or being a little too physical, and he certainly wasn't a tactician on
By the way,
Hart's
Lou
level.
says Goldberg did just ruin
He
Bret Hart's
did. He
career.
kicked him right in the goddamn face. He kicked him really hard, but it's also up to Bret to not run with such force to judge the distance as you're approaching, thus said, foot. It does go both ways.
At what point don't you know who
whose
you're
fault
working
is it?
with, though?
I still feel like at the end of the day that Bret should have, and he is the excellence of execution. I don't think Bret Hart has a peer.
RJ says Buddy
Technically.
Lee was right.
I agree. I don't think Bret has a peer technically in the ring. I don't believe there's one person who is better than him technically in the ring. He's number one. So how do you not know what you're dealing with? I would not have ran full force into that foot. That's just like...
So it's funny.
I'm amazed he did. I'm like,
when
why
I'm,
you...
when I'm watching that documentary,
You're gonna get... Oh, you did get
coming
killed.
off the rivalry, they had
Right.
rivalries last week with Shawn and Bret,
Right.
and then this thing with Goldberg, and I'm thinking to myself,
Right.
Bret Hart, again, was so great.
He was.
He, like, when people tell me
was.
that he was his favorite or he's
He
the
was.
top number one, can't argue, man.
No.
The guy was, and he was great
No.
on the mic.
He was. He was. I've grown to appreciate that too. He was never colorful in an age of color, and that's what I felt always. I never gravitated towards when he talked, because so many guys back then were so colorful with their talking, and Bret was the total opposite. He wasn't Bob Backlund. He was a step above, but it was that approach, that
Right.
scientific wrestler approach. He was good though. He was really good. And I am surprised that he ran with such full force towards a Bill Goldberg foot. Why would you trust Bill Goldberg to lift his leg and hit you safely? So I don't know, And Goldberg, of course, at that point should know a little something by now. What was it, 2 years in when he did this? 3 years in?
Luis Rodriguez says the only other wrestler he feels was close to Bret Hart was Eddie Guerrero.
That's fair. Eddie Guerrero was fucking fantastic. And I always mention Kurt Angle, too, for obvious reasons. Only one guy's got an Olympic gold. But, yeah, that's fair. Eddie Guerrero was effing fantastic. And unfortunately, so was the guy who flipped out on his wife and child. I'll leave that at that because we both know what a prick that guy was. But there were very few that could do what those guys did. They were really fantastic.
So before we get into some of the injuries that have happened, because I think if we're going to talk about that being a glaring one,
Yeah.
you and I were in a conversation. Marty's coming in a couple of weeks, and guys,
Marty!
if you're going to be interviewing him, get your questions ready.
Yeah.
Obviously, me and Pharaoh have a bunch of questions with him. I will tell you what we will be starting with Marty off about. We
Uh-oh.
will be talking to Marty about Dan Marotti, right? Because that'd be the
Boston
first time he
wrestling.
spoke about him.
Right.
But one thing we will talk to him about is, look, I consider Marty a friend, a good guy, but I really think it's time to find out what's really eating at Marty Jannetty.
Might be a good idea.
And
It might be a good idea for Marty, too.
But when you talk about injuries,
I just hope he doesn't hit you or me.
Well, let me ask you this.
Because I'm in no mood to be hit.
Do you think Shawn Michaels
Yeah.
went out of his way
Mm-hmm.
to just kick Marty to the curb?
Yeah, I do. I think he discarded him like a rag. That's just how I feel about it. I think Marty was a trusting friend, too. I think Marty thought that they would never be apart. I'm sure it still eats at Marty. Maybe that's part of what you want to get to with Marty, Mike.
Yeah.
You know, because, it must eat at him to this day. There's got to be a bunch of things, obviously, that must be bothering.
So what's worse, injuring your opponent on accident or purposely destroying people to get what you want? Because that's kind of the feeling I get.
Sometimes people do both. Sometimes wrestlers do both. They'll destroy you in the ring and they'll destroy you, in the back.
Well, what are your feelings about Shawn?
Shawn seems to be a really bad dude. I mean, we've seen so many instances of him just doing shit like this. He didn't care. He moved Marty to the side. I've seen what he did with Vader. Vader was a world champion wherever he went. Vader was a legend in Japan. Vader was a 3-time WCW. Vader was a legend, okay? And he was legit, and he was really good in the ring, and he was way ahead of his time for a big man. He was good in the ring. So he had it all. And when Vince brought him here, Vince was clearly interested. Vince was like, man, this motherfucker's huge. This is exactly what I like. Okay, so he's not steroided out, but man, Vince loves monsters like this. Guy's huge. Shawn Michaels doesn't want to let go of his belt. What did we talk about? Wasn't there like a full year he kept coming up with one idea after another to convince Vince to not take the belt off him? Then he has a program with Vader. He doesn't want to put him over at all. And I was watching this spot where Vader's on the floor and Shawn's getting ready to, and Shawn just yells during a pay-per-view match, "Move, asshole!" And I'm like, boy, you really are calling him out. Then he gets on top of him and starts kicking him in the face. He's talking shit to him. I've read articles where he was basically telling him, "I'm going to ruin you. You're nothing in this company."
Wow.
Right in the middle of all of that. And I guess
Vader didn't seem like the type of guy to take that, though.
Vader didn't seem like the type to take it, but I'm finding out more and more. Vader was a pretty soft-hearted guy for a huge man. He didn't seem like.
But all these wrestlers said they used to beat the shit out of him.
Well, because he worked stiff, but behind the scenes, he was supposedly a pretty nice guy.
Fair enough.
Oddly enough, but we've heard that about other guys who were huge.
So let me ask you this: so Brett, angry at Goldberg,
right?
If everybody remembers SummerSlam.
Yeah.
Stone Cold Steve Austin, super hot. Mm-hmm. Brett, this is real, clearly jealous of Austin.
Yeah, not liking it. Yeah.
And brother Owen dumps Austin with a pile driver on his neck.
Jumps him on his neck.
And almost ended the man's career.
Fucking reckless as fuck, too.
So thoughts on that? Why doesn't Owen get heat for that?
How is that? Well, obviously because Owen's passed away and now he's got, shoulders as smooth as can be, as far as his angel wings go. So, and that's understandable considering how he passed. But if you look back at that pile driver, what the fuck are you doing? Did you see how his head was a full head underneath? You could see his full head. You're supposed to protect the head. He dumped him flat on his fucking head. And I thought isn't he the excellence of execution?
Isn't it possible?
What is that?
I always
that they did it on purpose to him?
I always felt
it's
that
possible.
he did it on purpose.
You know what? You might be right. You might be right because that is the most reckless, guys, be fair. Go back and look at that pile driver. That is the most reckless thing I've seen. What are you doing? Bad. Very bad. And Austin hated him after
Big
that.
Boss Fetty says Shawn Michaels is not a killer like Marty. Remember, Marty killed at least one person.
Behind the bowling alley.
Behind the bowling with a brick.
With a brick.
With a brick.
Yeah, that's what happened.
Very interesting.
Yeah. Is Marty in the next Halloween film? Halloween Ends?
Is that what the next film is?
It's Marty Ends.
How great would that be?
Marty Jannetty is Michael Myers secretly. Takes off the. Wait a minute! He takes off the mask.
Here's one that I was there live for.
Yeah.
Was D'Lo Brown.
Yeah.
Crippling draws. Now this was an accident.
Okay. Right.
But again,
you were there.
I don't know how you forgive a guy for doing that to you. I agree with Brett. When you get in the ring, no matter what situation you have, you're there to protect. Draws is taking responsibility. So he didn't tuck his neck, whatever else.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, first of all, if you're inexperienced, you shouldn't be taking pile drivers.
Right.
If you're inexperienced, you shouldn't be giving pile drivers.
Right.
Bret Hart should have worked differently with Goldberg. The guy Goldberg was limited, dude.
Yeah, very. What did you feel? Did you see the actual injury occur with Droz and D'Lo?
Yes, I did. It was Nassau Coliseum.
What was your thought upon impact? Did you think right away, oh no? Or was it
you knew something happened, they just stopped. They stopped the match.
They just stopped. Because he was instantly paralyzed, correct?
Instantly.
Wow. I have a very bizarre question. Is there any reason why we have not figured out a way for you to ask Droz personally? Can Droz still get out to a studio?
I think he's a quadriplegic now, man. I think he's in a wheelchair. I could try to reach out to see if we can do that.
I would, just for the fact that you were there, I would think you'd want to ask him a few questions.
I always did. The closest we came was with Ahmad Johnson,
right?
Who certainly didn't have any love lost for D'Lo.
Did you think D'Lo was reckless that night in watching the match?
I think D'Lo Brown is very reckless. I've always felt that way. I felt he was not a very clean wrestler.
Okay.
Listen, I think it's really important as a look. As much as we beat up AEW,
right?
I feel bad that I don't necessarily feel bad, right? Because these guys are making tons of money, but
right. Don't feel.
I feel like, wow, you're really taking chances.
They are
to just get a pop,
right,
with some of the stuff you're doing.
Yeah,
and sooner or later, someone's going to die or get crippled. And to me, it's unnecessary.
Right, I believe so.
We enjoyed wrestling for wrestling. It doesn't always have to be, listen. That day Mick Foley went up on a cage, I think Mick Foley in his mind said, you know what? I need to start making real money here for my family. I'm going to do something that no one's ever done and leave my mark.
Mick intended that very thing, to make sure that he was going to do something no one had ever done. It's in his book, Bang Bang.
And it worked.
Of course it worked. Taker thought he was insane.
Yeah.
Taker was like, what is this guy doing?
Agreed.
Is this guy insane? Yeah, of course he was insane. He was Mick Foley.
Lou says D'Lo's career tanked after that incident.
Yeah, that was bad. I was never a big D'Lo Brown fan, but I will say this much about D'Lo. The D'Lo Browns and the Val Venuses, the Al Snows, these guys really did a lot of work during the Attitude Era,
They did.
They were a heavy working hand, obviously, guys like that.
Here's some from the list. So tell me what you remember this. Brock Lesnar and Braun Strowman.
Oh, when Brock punched Braun in the face. That was fantastic. He's like, that's not a shot, this is. Boom! And to give Strowman credit, okay, wobbled a little bit, but he got up and kept going. Wow, imagine what those two would do to each other.
Absolutely.
Damn.
How about the mass transit incident? Now, you're a big New Jack guy.
I know.
Thoughts on that?
This is where I always, know that my love for New Jack is probably misplaced, but it is what it is. Look, New Jack more than once did something that he probably really shouldn't have done, but that was all about New Jack saying, fuck it. I'm not excusing it. It's just the way New Jack was. And in some strange way, I found New Jack's loose cannon thing to be, hey, Loose, what's up? To be very, very appealing, And this kid asked for it, too. But where's Paulie in all of this? To me, it's on Paul Heyman.
Ahmad Johnson.
Don't give New Jack the opportunity to do this.
Ahmad Johnson, Goldust.
Ahmad Johnson and Goldust. Now, here's one that doesn't resonate so much with me. You want to tell me what's so special about
this one?
This is when
Goldust took things a little far. I think Ahmad told us about that.
Right.
And he actually kissed him, and Ahmad
did not
find that.
That's not exactly like putting someone in a hospital or something like that, but all right.
All right.
That was bizarre. What happened? He got, tonsillitis from it or something?
Whatever, How about the Acolytes versus Public Enemy?
Now, that was fantastic. That was fantastic because basically, and boy, oh boy, what did Public Enemy do so quickly to have everybody hate them, no matter where they went? Now, in ECW, they were loved. Okay, they were loved. They were Public Enemy. Yeah, everybody's happy. But in WCW, the locker room was like, kill them. So I think they had the Nasty Boys kill them.
Yeah.
And then they get to the WWF, and it's like, kill them. They've got the Acolytes killing them. Yeah. I mean, did you even like Public Enemy, or did you say, who are these two fat guys? Because I'm wondering how you thought about Public Enemy.
It's funny.
Did you even know that they were magical?
Our friend Mitch was friends with Public Enemy.
Okay, that's cool.
And
may they both rest in peace. I like Public Enemy, but I figured,
was I a fan?
I figured you looked at them and was like, okay, where did these two come from?
Was I a fan? No, I wasn't.
I didn't think you were.
Rocco Rock. I was just wasn't my thing.
Yeah, they were cool.
But again, it matters who
They were cool. I liked them. But man, did they take a beating? Oh my God! And Ron Simmons and we know Bradshaw loves to bully everybody, so JBL. Ow.
What's the next one on the list?
Well, the next one is it pisses me off to this day because this kid did a shoot on Kurt Angle. You prick. Daniel Puder with his effing, what was it, a kimono, whatever it is, kind of lock. It's named after a lizard, an angry lizard or something.
Yep.
I mean, like, he throws this fucking hold on Kurt, like, by surprise, and Puder himself is not exactly a wimp, so it just pissed me off to no end. And to Kurt Angle's credit, and I think it was little Nate, Charles Robinson's credit, Angle somehow got himself on top, and Nate said, fuck it, I'm counting this guy. Or there might have been another referee next to Nate counting it, so forgive me if I didn't get the ref's name right. But I remember that somebody slapped that 3 count real fast. This was a ballsy fucking move by this punk.
I don't really remember that.
I remember that
though.
so well. I was like, you prick. I was so angry. And to Kurt Angle's credit, I don't know how he kept his composure. The second I was out of that hold, I would have locked him up in an ankle lock and never let go. I would have been like, yeah, kid? Okay, now you'll find out why I won the gold medal. You fucking shoot on me? I mean, holy shit, did Angle act like a professional. I'm sure Vince must have noticed that.
By
Kill
the way,
him instantly.
Angle's a weird guy, man.
Angle is burnt.
He's really weird.
He's burnt.
Here's something that people forget
I like him,
before we move on.
I love Kurt Angle.
How come no one ever talks about the Rockers when they broke that dude's neck and then they just
Yeah,
kept...
what was that? The first they fucking basically ruin him, and then give him a splash. This one's for Jesus.
Yeah.
Oh boy,
Yeah,
what
right.
are you doing? You're born
Exactly.
again? You're not born again. I'm wondering if you were born at all.
I
You
think
might have been raised from the
spoke to
bottom
Marty
up.
about that once, but
Yeah,
it's like,
we kind of like.
don't you feel bad that you
We were
broke
probably
this
too
dude's
busy
neck?
fighting about some other shit
I
with
don't
Marty,
know.
most likely. Yeah,
How about New Jack and Vic Grimes?
This is okay. Everyone knows about Foley with Taker, but I'm sorry. This is the most insane fall I've ever seen in my life. Go back, guys, and take a look at New Jack throwing Vic Grimes off of something that I don't even know what to fucking call it because I guess it was a scaffold, but it was 8,000 feet in the air. It's way higher than Foley's drop. And the drop itself is so scary. Somehow Vic Grimes, who was a big, heavy guy, bounces off the rope. It turns out that, in my mind, the bounce saved his life. I don't know how the hell he's alive. Well, was alive. Either one of them was alive. It's just absolute insanity. That is the craziest thing I've ever seen. But you know what, though? As it turns out, wasn't New Jack getting back because he blinded him?
Yeah.
From a fucked up move? Hey, yeah, wrestling's real fake,
I'm
folks?
going to jump ahead. How about Michael Tarver claiming John Cena fractured his arm with a chair?
What do you think about that? That's your idol there, John Cena. Did he deserve it?
Hey. He's holding a spot.
Holding the spot.
Holding a spot.
Yeah.
And I don't believe he was threatened by Michael Tarver.
I did not for 1 second.
If it was somebody else, I'd be like, but Michael Tarver.
Here we go again. I mean, it's just like not for 1 second.
Here's your favorite complaint about Bubba Ray Dudley.
My favorite. The complaints about Bubba, what, that he's been stiff over the years and he sometimes will just shoot on anybody?
Yeah.
Yeah, what do you think about that? He's your boy. He's not my boy.
I honestly don't think Bubba Ray Dudley is a good guy.
I think you might be right.
I think he's a know-it-all.
You might be right.
I think.
Don't you dare disagree with him.
I think he found his world out of fatness.
He'll fuck you up.
He got a little bigger and muscular,
Right.
and all of a sudden started that Bully
You
Ray.
think he's just drinking his own soup?
Yeah, but Bully Ray is the real Bubba
good for
Ray.
him. Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
You know, it's funny.
Okay.
I was thinking about
That's fine.
Bubba Ray.
I wouldn't feel comfortable working with him.
But Bubba Ray was
you
talking
know.
about how the wrestlers are scripted, and you got to be your own, and you got to do your own thing.
Right.
I was thinking, Bubba Ray, you were stuttering for 2 years, right? Until finally you started getting a name, and you were able to kind of dictate what you needed to do. Yeah. Yeah.
That was fucking hilarious.
But the point is, it's like,
right.
That's what they told you to do, and you did it.
And you did it.
And you're telling people, you got to step up.
Oh,
and
stop it.
It's like,
stop.
you were in a small little ECW,
that's right.
and you did what they told you to do.
That's right. And by the way, too, to hammer that home, Bubba in ECW, when he would talk, was amazing. He gets to the big program. You mean, yes, Vince, whatever you pay me.
Yep.
Give me a break. Hypocrite. Hypocrite. Wait a minute, though. How could you pass over my number one complaining boy, CM Punk and Ryback?
Go ahead.
Who the fuck came up with this program? The fucking whiny tennis instructor versus the giant granite rock from hell. Oh, this is going to turn out fine for the whiny tennis instructor. He got badgered, just brutally destroyed left and right. And what happened? What happened to Punk? Now he's a whiner. Why would you put the two of them together and think that's going to turn out okay? Did Shawn Michaels like wrestling Vader? No. You see the difference, though? Do you see the favoritism?
Well,
Shawn Michaels goes, I don't want to wrestle Vader. He's big, fat, and smelly. He's too big for me. And he gets away with it. CM Punk goes, I don't want to go in the ring with Ryback. He's a big, giant doofus, and he's dangerous. You're a complainer. What do we got going on here? Little double standard, Vince.
Could be true.
I think it is.
All right, we're almost out of
Wow,
time.
you let me get away with that.
We'll see everybody tomorrow,
Okay.
where we're going to have Tommy Rich.
All right.
And Hands of Stone, Ronnie Garvin, in back-to-back interviews.
Right.
Thoughts on these two upcoming guests?
Oh, well, Tommy Rich he's my boy at this point. I can't wait to see him. This is great. He's getting to be a regular. Is he going to come over? Is he going to the beach with us? Maybe there'll be a shark attack. We'll have Tommy Rich with us for the shark attack.
Imagine if Tommy Rich got eaten by a shark.
Imagine if Tommy Rich sees a shark attack. I got to do something about this. Tommy, it's not 1982. Stay right here. Nope, nope, nope. He goes into the water, tries to wrestle the shark, and loses. Then he gets eaten.
I don't see Tommy Rich even going into water, honestly.
You don't think so?
Water.
He's not the first one to go, everybody into the pew with a big cannonball?
No.
Not him, huh?
No.
How do you feel about Ronnie coming in? I
love Ronnie Garvin.
What happened here? We love Ronnie Garvin and Bob Backlund. What happened here? This business has changed us.
It has changed
It has changed us.
Because these are guys that
They're
are
sweet.
respectful.
They're sweeties.
And, yeah, they're good guys.
Too funny.
All right, I want to thank you all for joining Long Island's
yes.
#1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monte DeFaro. Again, watch Monte DeFaro on the Monte DeFaro YouTube page, Monte DeFaro Facebook Live page. Hear us on the iHeartRadio, Spotify, Anchor, Channel 115 every Tuesday at 9:30 and 11:30 against Saturday Night Live, and Channel 20 at 1 a.m. Pharaoh, any parting words for everybody out there?
Well, let's see. We covered we talked about Bigfoot, and we talked about the president having the sniffles, and we talked about all sorts of great shit. I think we're good. I think we're good. Although we did skip over the punishment of Daniel Puder. Did we get to that as to what they did to him?
What do you mean?
Well, don't you, after he pulled that bullshit on Kurt Angle, don't you remember what they did to him? They got him in the ring with Benoit, Guerrero, and Hardcore Holly. And the three of them took turns beating the shit out of him.
Well,
Look it up.
I must not have been watching.
You'll love it. Look it
Really?
up. And the crowd knows what this beating is for. They're just hit him again.
And what happened to Daniel Puder?
They released him from the loser he was because you don't shoot on Kurt Angle. Vince was like, fuck this kid. He sent him out there to take a beating, and then he sent him home.
Well, you can't have your wrestlers shooting on other wrestlers.
On Kurt Angle? What are you doing?
Can't have any of them.
No, in general, I agree.
Can't embarrass your star, right?
Yeah, and that's exactly.
I mean, they're not
what
all
he
tough
did.
guys. You can't do that.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, even though, in that situation, shooting on him in that way, Kurt really couldn't do anything about it. It was it was that much of a surprise and a dominating move, and Puder knew how to do it.
And they're big guys, right?
Yes.
It's they're strong.
Yes.
Guys.
So for Kurt Angle to not be able to do anything about it, that is a hell of a fucking...
One thing I don't remember us discussing real quick before we go, did you think that Seth Rollins lost something when that fan tackled him like that?
Not at all. What are you talking about? First of all, let's talk basic physics. Let's pretend that neither one of them are famous, okay? You have a large guy. This guy was heavier than Seth Rollins.
Yeah.
Okay, let's face facts. He was heavier. Running. How many feet before he hit Seth? Work with me here. 20? 30? He's running full speed. He hits Seth. Who winds up in the front face lock? The guy who hit Seth. It's not like Seth went flying. Seth fucking immediately had him in a front face lock.
Right.
Relax. I'm sure if they were separated and about to square off, that guy's getting fucked up by Seth Rollins. Everybody relax. Basic physics say that if a guy heavier than you charges and has a 30-foot advantage, he might be able to take you off your feet, which he did. But the wrestler, Seth Rollins, immediately had him in a front face lock. So no, I see it for the reality it is. I don't go, wow, and nobody tackled somebody.
Right.
Quit marking out.
Well, with that, this is Mike Monte.
This is the Pharaoh. Thank you once again for allowing us to come into your homes. And until next week, later.